everything. I'm about to go live in the group as well. Can everybody hear me okay? See me okay? Yay, thanks for the thumbs up. All right, wonderful. All right, I'm going to make it so that, beautiful. And then, hi, Caitlin. All right, so I think that that's good. Now, if you have questions or comments or anything like that, please feel free to drop them in the chat. If you're coming in live, amazing. Thank you so much for being here in the Zoom room. This is one way that you can interact with me a little bit easier. If you have questions for me or anything while I'm speaking, you can pop it in chat. I try to see it. If I miss it, then I'll make sure that I get to it at the end. Today, we are talking about breaking the six-figure ceiling. I'm so excited to have you all. You know, I miss you every time I don't get to see you all. So thank you so much for coming and joining once again. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. If you're in the Facebook group and you're seeing this come out live, then I can't see your questions at the same time because I'm in the Zoom room. If you want to get into the Zoom room, you can go to the website and get in. Oh, yay. Okay, well, I'm glad that you're here, Caitlin. Thank you so much. All right, let's see what tab am I on today. Just help me out a little bit and make sure you can see my screen okay, and then we'll be all right. Let's take a look here. All right, so we are in the Break the Six-Figure Ceiling Challenge. The whole goal of this is to step into our CEO vision, and I will jump right in. If you're joining me in the live in Facebook, welcome, welcome. Please give a hello to everybody else who's joining. I'm so glad that you're all here. All right, so I'm going to start off with a little bit about me. Let me go ahead and present. Hopefully this doesn't make my screen too small, and hopefully you can all see me okay this way. But all right, so the big goal of this is what I started seeing as I was working with people, especially starting micro schools or just educators in general, is that we have this very kind of like we're not capable of being CEOs or anything like that. It's so interesting to me because we have like all the transferable skills that you can think of. We are amazing at leading people. We're leading people that don't sometimes want to be in the classroom. When you're a CEO, you're generally dealing with people who want to be there most of the time, at least. But you have great leadership skills. We're very great at being organized. Educators are some of the smartest people I know. We'll research everything. And that's really what it takes to be a CEO, is being super organized. We build systems, right? So that's what educators do. So I feel like the educator to CEO or to owner to entrepreneur kind of pipeline is an amazing one that you can use a lot of your transferable skills and then basically changing your money mindset. So that's the other thing I see with educators is that changing their money mindset and being comfortable with making money, with making more than the regular educator would make is really, really hard for us. So I really wanted to step in and do something about like how I stepped into a CEO vision and how I think every educator really should. I think I've said this before, but usually educators are, I think, in the top 3, if not the top 5 of millionaires in the country. So we are one of the top 3 or top 5 groups of people that can get to millionaire status. And usually that's because we're very educated, we're very research based. We will make sure that we work really, really hard to do something. And even if it takes a little bit of time, we'll stick to it. So I always am trying to make sure that my educators can step into their CEO vision as easily as possible. And that's what I do now. So I'll give you a little bit about me. My name is Iman. I'm the CEO and founder of Kind Academy. You probably know me from that. I started a micro school program about over a decade ago now, and it's still going really, really strong. I scaled that to about 7 figures. So I'm really excited about helping other people get there. I started a new program actually, or a new organization called Heart-Centered CEOs. It's under my Iman Speaks brand, where I do a lot of speaking, podcasting, things like that. And that's really where like the scale is coming in. So I taught people how to open their own micro schools. We have about 70 schools in our network now that I've taught philosophy, framework, things like that. And we're constantly kind of giving more and more for that. But I started noticing a lot of micro school founders started saying, hey, like, how do I get to, like, I love owning a school, but now I want to start thinking about what am I going to do next almost, or I want to replicate, I want to do what's next. I'm also a best-selling speaker, author, and I'm a heart-centered CEO. The word heart-centered and CEO a lot of times don't go together. And that's why I love teaching this, because I really do feel like we should have CEOs that are heart-centered. And I feel like more people, especially educators stepping out of the classroom, can step into becoming heart-centered CEOs, and we'll make the world a better place like that. All right. By the end of today, the goal is that you have clarity on your CEO money vision and the bottlenecks that are holding you back. All right. If you signed up for the class, then you got a workbook this morning, most likely in the past 10 minutes. If you want to check your email and you want to go through that workbook, a lot of this kind of CEO work is done with reflection. It's done with writing. It's done with really kind of really getting to the core of why you aren't already feeling comfortable with being a CEO or stepping into that version of yourself. Okay. But if you're here, you're taking the first step. If you have the workbook, it's even an added kind of benefit because they have like reflection prompts and things like that and reading that you can add to this live class. All right. If you need a link to that, let me know. I'll try to drop it in the chat if you're in the live. If you're not, then if you're in the Facebook, then I'll try to drop it after. All right. Let's take a look. Get back here. All right, so jumping right in, for the 3-day challenge, the things that we're going to go over is the power of vision for day 1, and we're going to be talking about your money vision and really creating and designing that. Day 2 is going to be about building strong systems because that really is the difference between a burned out kind of owner, operator, and an actual CEO. And day 3 is about scaling for success because we're not just talking about, kind of doing the things really, really small to the point that you can't, survive off of it. The goal is to scale and thrive. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about on day 3. All right, let's step into our CEO mindset. So it's time for us to embrace our role as leaders of our money and of our mission. So a lot of times we are super heart-centered and we think that we can't have the CEO vision or the mission that we have. Like, I want to change the world through education. That's something that I've always wanted to do. My mission was to change the world through education. And I feel like that's something that I get to constantly do. I get to constantly wake up and do that. A lot of people feel like when you have a heart-centered or kind of like human-centered business, that it doesn't go hand in hand with being able to make money at doing that. And I'm really here to change that mindset around that. I don't think that that's fair, that we have to say people who are educators shouldn't make money because it's meant to be a heart-centered job or heart-centered career. So I definitely want to make sure that we understand that we are kind of people who should be able to be successful and we should be able to thrive and we should be able to do the things that we want to do. We should be able to take vacations. We should be able to buy groceries and not have to think about whether or not we're going to be able to afford them. Most of my people here in Florida, we know what's happened in Florida over the past few years. There is a great conversation around, okay, inflation is crazy right now. How are we going to make sure that we can support ourselves and our children, especially as we start getting into the retirement years, which I know a lot of us are starting to think about. So we really have to start thinking that bigger vision, that longer term vision, that legacy vision that I've been trying to talk to everyone about. But we have to step into that, okay? But it's time to shift your own perspective and your own power. As a CEO, you design systems that align your financial goals with your mission. This transformation leads to greater impact and ensures you are compensated for your visionary work. So this is another place that I see a lot of my micro school founders, a lot of my educators get stuck in is, should I be compensated for this work? Is it visionary enough? And most of the time it is. I see people with much less education, with much less kind of like really understanding things without the background, without the really ever being in it. They jump right in. They've been in it for 3 months and they feel like they can be at the top of it. And most of my educators go in and they're like, I don't know if I can do this. So I really want to make sure that your work is visionary and you deserve to be compensated for it because it is visionary legacy work. Everyone I speak to, whenever I have meetings with them, I'm always so blown away by my educators. So that's one of the first things that I need us to get past is the mindset that what we're doing is not visionary. I'm always inspired by people when I speak to them. I'm always inspired by the work that they're doing. And I'm always like, gosh, that's such a good idea. Like, I would love to recreate something like that or add that to our school in some way because I really love what you're doing. And I wish I could do that with everyone because we have such amazing ideas. Okay. So I love it. All right. But you need to step into your own CEO mindset. I can tell you 100 times kind of how amazing y'all are and how amazing and the visionary work that you're doing, but you need to know it as well. So we need to get better at that. And that's really a big part of why I do what I do. All right. So one of my favorite books that I read is from my cousin actually gave it to me. I want to say maybe about 7 years ago. I was thick in nature school, which was an amazing, amazing program. But it was called the E-Myth. I don't know if anyone here has ever read the E-Myth. If you have read the E-Myth, please pop it in the chat. I think I saw you come in, Terry Ann. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Caitlin. If you can, please just drop in the chat if you've ever read The E-Myth. And if not, what business book have you ever read? Because the E-Myth is one of my favorites. And I feel like it really gets to the grain of what I'm talking about today. So basically there's like operators and then there's like CEOs, right? An operator is basically someone who is always hustling, always doing it all, and it leads to inconsistent pay and burnout. So the operator is basically, I'm doing everything in my business, right? You're not working in your zone of genius. I know if you're educators here, we've talked about zone of genius, right? We're not working in our zone of genius. So usually when we're the operator, I do not like doing admin. I say that all the time. Everybody who knows me knows I do not love sending emails and kind of doing all the little tedious things behind the scene. When I added an operator, right? Our operations person, she handles all of that now, most of it now. And I don't have to really think about that. That allows me to continue to be in what I call my CEO mindset. I design systems that align money and mission, allowing for predictability and better financial outcomes while focusing on core values and goals. So instead of working in my business every single day, I get to work on the business. I get to scale. I get to develop the processes that are going to allow us to kind of be very, very streamlined. When I'm in it and I'm focused on it, I am so close to it that it's very, very hard for me to change things. And what ends up happening is I'm always reacting to problems instead of leading, instead of kind of like being on the, instead of like making sure that I can prevent the problems from happening. So that's a really important difference and a really important mindset. Operators have to react to problems. If you feel like you're always putting out fires or you're rushing here, rushing there, rushing there, that means that most likely you need somebody else to support you, somebody else to help you on your team. And I've talked about how to add different team members, right? But operators react. CEOs invest in systems for sustainable growth. Okay, so that was one of my biggest things is really making sure that we had great processes, great standard operating procedures, great trainings, all of that good stuff, so that I can step out and I don't have to be at the school on the day to day. So I can do stuff like this because this is really, as well as like now that the school is kind of built and where it needs to be, now I have a chance to really speak to people and talk to people and allow them and teach them as well, which has always been my dream, is being able to help as many people kind of step into their dream life as well. Operators usually struggle with cash flow predictability. They don't know when the next one's coming. They have to kind of rush around to try to make this money this month or this money this week or this money, or if they don't, then it's going to be a problem. A lot of times that's a big part of when you're still too in it. You don't have a nice bird's eye view of your year yet. So you can't see when things are going to happen or when things are going to shift because you haven't zoomed out yet. All right. The limited operator mindset. So staying in the operator role often leads to feast or famine cycles. So feast means a feast and famine cycle in business usually means that you have months that are amazing. And as founders, I think we all know this. September is like, this is a good month. If you're in Florida, then you know that, step up, the money finally came in, funding finally came in. This is a feast cycle. We know that we're going to have this amazing feast cycle. We're going to have money for the next 3 months. It's going to feel good. But then once we get to that month 3, sometimes it's like, oh no, we need another kind of like, we need another, we're in a famine now. There's not as much cash flow coming in and now you're struggling a little bit. So when you're in that operator mindset, you are going to run into a lot of feast and famine cycles in your business. Being able to zoom out and to see everything allows you to kind of like plan your year in a way that's going to allow you to not have those moments, right? That it ends up being survival income. You can't thrive with a feast and famine cycle, okay? You have a lack of predictability. Usually at that point, operators face constant uncertainty, making it impossible to create reliable income streams that allow for long-term planning and stability. We start looking at 3-year goals at this point. And this really helps you to make sure that you're kind of able to see what's going to happen. It gives you projections of what the future can look like. Reactive leadership, always responding to issues instead of planning proactively. So I've already planned out my next year. I've been planning out my next year over and over again, kind of, and going back and checking it and saying, what do we need to do? Did this actually work the way we expected it? If it didn't work, then how can we fix that, and shifting it as much as possible, things like that. You miss opportunity for strategic growth and improvement. So I talk about conferences a lot. I talk about retreats a lot. When you're in it all the time, you can't do that kind of stuff. You can't zoom out. You can't do the things that are going to take your business to the next level if you don't have the time to do that. Like at this point, once you are in a business and once you've been doing it for a few years, especially 2 or 3 years in, you should be able to step out of it and start really marketing in the way of networking with other people who are going to be able to bring more business to your business. But focusing on the day-to-day tasks rather than vision and strategy. I just recreated like our amazing lesson plan template, and I'm so very proud of it. But that's something I can give to my teachers. It's so clear now exactly how to do our lesson plans. Again, I update it whenever I can, whenever I see that it's not, but I'm not in the day-to-day. I don't have to implement it, but I can tell you, because now I've seen it, I can give it to you and you can go ahead and do it in a way that exactly matches the vision that I have. So that works out really, really well. But yeah, your goal should always be to work on your business instead of in your business. Even when you just start creating it, you will get burned out trying to work on it and in it at the same time. So if you want to be in your school all the time, that's totally fine. Just understand being in it and working on it at the same time are just very, very difficult things to do. So being able to go in and either say, hey, like this is going to my exit plan of once I get to director, and once I've been doing it for 2 years, I want to be able to step out, hire a director, and really kind of like create our systems and make them as great as possible. Or I want to be in my school all the time and I'm going to hire an operator who's going to handle all of the admin and back end stuff, because that's a full-time job in itself most of the time. So doing both while working with the students and working on the business is really, really challenging. Okay. All right. I'm trying to see if I can see anyone's notes. All right, I can't. All right, anyone, if you have any questions or want to drop anything in the chat, please let me know. I don't want to miss anyone. A lot of times I can't see everything at once. So, all right, let's see. All right, so CEO vision, money plus mission. Okay, so a lot of times people talk about this like money first. It's always profit first, and I do say profit first, but I say it with caveats, right, or caveats. Basically, yes, it's very important that your business can make money, and I know I talk about that a lot. I'm always going to say that. I'm always going to repeat it because that is the lifeblood of your business. We live in a society where it takes capital to run a business, right? That's where we're still at in the world right now. And we can't depend on grants. We can't depend on loans only. We have to make sure that there's cash flow in our business, but you also have to make sure you're following your mission and your vision. Okay. So aligning your values and your revenue is essential for success. So basically, values plus revenue equals like a sustainable business model. Okay. You have to understand your core values. It helps you to shape your mission. By aligning your revenue goals with these values, you will create powerful impact and build a sustainable business that thrives financially and fulfills your mission. So that is so, so, so true. I think everybody who knows me, you're watching this, you're probably in my group, you know my values, you know kind values, like you know what we are kind of never going to back down on. We believe in empathy, we believe in human centered, we believe that students should have, like the power to kind of decide and make choices as much as possible. We're not pulling back on that. There is something that happens with that. I think it's a lot of our authenticity that comes with it that allows kind of money to flow to what we do, because of the fact that we are so specific about who we are and who we serve and how we serve them, that families flock to that because they know that we're not kind of shifting always or changing our minds or anything like that. So it always brings in the people who are meant for us come to us because they know that that's what we believe. And money follows that. Money follows authenticity. Okay. So that's super, super important. All right. And when you're writing grants, that's super important. Okay. CEO vision, money. I think I did that one again. My bad. All right. So, all right. So now we have a bit of an activity. I think that I shared this. This is in the workbook. I'm going to pop open the workbook too, but basically you're going to design your CEO. Hold on one second. I have somebody popping up in the chat. I'm trying to see if I can get them in. Here we go. Sorry, y'all. All right. Looks like I have some stuff popping up. Hi. Okay. Welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Okay, so this is how CEOs think. If you're just popping in, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Please drop in the chat where you're at in the world today. Caitlin, please drop in the chat where you're at in the world. I'm sorry, I usually start with like a quick introduction, and I'm sorry I didn't this time, but please drop in the chat where you're at in the world. I know that some of us are in Florida, some of us may be out of Florida, but I would love to hear what city and state you're in, okay? Okay, jumping right back into it though. This is how CEOs think, all right? CEOs pay themselves first. So when we say pay ourselves first, that's a big part of it, is because if you don't, then you're going to burn out. Money is what it takes for us to move these things forward. Okay. If we don't have money and we're not allowing ourselves to kind of like live in the lifestyle that we want to, we're going to get to the point that we end up kind of resenting the business. And I've seen that happen time and time again. There's been moments where that happened to me. I'm like, wait a second, like I'm the business owner. Why am I resenting the business? Like that doesn't make sense. The business isn't paying me enough, or the business isn't paying me. That's a problem. I'm the problem here. So I need to fix that, right? So you have to pay yourself first. You have to make sure that you are being paid in a way that's going to make it a point for you to continue doing this thing, okay? But it ensures you invest in your business and personal growth, creating a sustainable financial foundation for success, all right? So make sure that you are paying yourself first. I know I say that all the time. I will say in some businesses, a lot of business people don't pay themselves right away the first year or two. And that is a reality. And if you have savings and you're able to do that, that's fine as your business grows. But if you don't, I always, when I teach how to open micro schools or anything like that, I always teach from a standpoint of kind of, we started kind with $100. And I always tell people, like, start off as small as possible with as minimal debt as possible. And I like money coming in right away. I like making a profit right away. That's really my preference. Some businesses don't run like that. I understand it. But I'm always going to try to map when I'm working with people how to make it so that your budget, so you're already getting paid from the beginning, from out the door, because most people that I know don't have 2 years of savings to be able to kind of like hold off. So I always suggest, hey, this is how you can map that to make sure that that you're going to be okay immediately or within at least the first few months of doing what you're doing. Okay. We have to start normalizing wealth and stability. That is, I know, a bit of a challenge for people who look like us sometimes, like, but we have to get comfortable with wealth. I remember telling somebody like 5 years ago, one of my people, I remember saying, like, I'd rather us have money than them, quite honestly. Like, because I know that we're going to do heart-centered things. Like, I know, like some of the wealthy people don't do the best things in the world. And we look at that and we're kind of sad about that. And we're like, it's not fair. But capital and having wealth allows us to make those changes a lot of times. That's what changes things in the world that we live in right now. And of course, being heart-centered, of course, being kind, of course, being all those things. But a lot of times it's money that does the talking. I was just watching something about this woman named Mary Ellen Pleasant. I don't know if anyone saw that. I don't know if you saw that on my page, Caitlin. But she lines up with Madam C.J. Walker. They say that she was probably the first self-made Black millionaire in the country, actually. But nobody really talks about her. And one of the things, she quietly made millions of dollars and nobody knew. She was actually an enslaved person. She was enslaved in houses of very wealthy people, and she would listen to the ways that they were making money. And she went out and she started making money that way. And she started investing in things like John Brown and things like that, and the Underground Railroad. And that's how she used her money. And she used it quietly to kind of fund the revolution that was happening at that time. And I look at those situations and I say, those are the reasons that I talk about normalizing wealth and normalizing stability. If you're not stable or your business is not stable, it's very, very hard to not work or not to act out of being desperate. When you act out of being desperate, it's very challenging for you to kind of be able to live in your vision and live in your mission. And you're going to resent that as well. Okay. So embrace the notion that wealth is attainable and essential for growth. Stability and income allows you to focus on your mission without constant financial worry. If you're constantly worried about money, that is one of the worst wealth blocks that I still work on sometimes for myself. If you're always worried about financial, like where it's going to come from, how's it going to come? It's like, no, like we're not going to do that. We have a plan. We know this plan works. It's always worked before. It's going to be fine. One of my big things is thinking about, is this really going to work? There are moments where I'm like, and every single time the evidence is always shown that it always, always, always works. As long as I keep trying, as long as I keep working towards it, as long as I keep reminding people and repeating what I've been saying forever and ever, it's always worked. Okay. So we need to be comfortable with normalizing wealth and normalizing that everything has always stayed stable. Okay. And no matter what, I'm always ready to pivot. And we always have to remind ourselves that we are, especially as educators, we've been in the classrooms, we've been in schools, we understand that things are constantly happening and we're always kind of ready for it. We're always we have this with fitness. Educators have a with fitness, I like to call it, where it's like we're always constantly kind of ready. It is a little tiny bit of anxiety, but it's always like, okay, well, I have 3 different solutions for that if that ever happens. So we need to be comfortable with understanding that we have that capability. Not every single job, not every single career has that, okay? We need to look at money as freedom and impact, okay? Money provides options for personal freedom, which is so, so, so important. Financial stability enables greater philanthropic contributions. I see so many great people doing so much good with money. There's always moments. I posted a video yesterday where I was talking about this woman. She was homeless. She was on the street, and she was, like sharing her blanket with somebody, and he, gave her a ton of money, and she was just crying and bawling. And I'm like, those are the things I want to use my money for. Like, those are the things I use my wealth for. I donate to single mothers. I donate to situations that I know, like, I want to be able to help as much as possible with my money. And I feel like that is such a huge part of going, like, this is my vision. This is literally a part of my definite chief aim in life, is being able to help as many people with the money that I make as possible out of those kind of situations, because I shouldn't be in that situation in the first place. So that allows me to be able to do that. All right. Money basically funds your vision and makes it a lasting, or have a lasting impact. All right. So I think we all have visions here. If you want, drop it in the chat. What is your vision right now? What is, like, the dream? I don't feel like we dream enough. What's your dream? What do you want to do? What do you think is you know what I mean? Like, what do you think it should be? Sometimes we're kind of like humble about the vision that we have, but I've always wanted Kind to be all over the world. I've always wanted people to kind of take the philosophy all over the world. And it sounded really, really big, but whenever I talk to people and they said, oh, that's a really, or that they didn't really seem like that could happen, I was like, okay, like, I know that this is a thing that's going to happen. That's been my vision for so long. And having money and being able to kind of attract money into what we do has been able to spread that vision as far as it is now. And I want it to keep going and keep growing. So that allows you to make a, lasting impact on things. All right. Activity time. All right. So we have a workbook that I said I'm going to share the workbook, but first I'm going to tell you kind of what we're going to do. So if you don't have the workbook, you could just do this on paper and pencil, and I will show you the workbook too, so you can see it if you want to copy it a bit. But your money vision is defining your financial goals for the year. Okay. Write a clear vision for your 1 year financial goals. Identify bottlenecks. What's stopping you? What's holding you back? Why is that not okay? Why is that not happening? Recognize your biggest challenge hindering progress. Align your mission. Connect your mission with your financial goals. So what's your vision? What's your message? What's your mission? Align that with how you plan on making, your money vision. Take action. Start implementing strategies to overcome challenges that may come up. Okay. Let's see if I can find the workbook. All right. So it looks like, all right, it is sharing. And give me a thumbs up if you can see it, please. Oh my gosh, y'all. Right before this class, my internet went down. And I was like, I'm so proud of myself, because I happened to be up early and in front of my computer early so that I could make sure that I could teach. And if I was not, then I would have been late. And I don't want to be late, y'all. So I just feel really good that worked. It worked out so well, because my internet was not working for like a good 20 minutes this morning, which never really happens. All right, so here's the workbook. And this is basically what it looks like for the operator versus CEO. So I would highly suggest, like, you start thinking about, let me edit that a little bit. Start thinking about what you operate as and what you want to shift that to. Okay. The last time my business felt like a feast or famine, definitely think about that. The inconsistency made me feel like this. Complete the sentence. My mission is to, like, what's your mission? I know my mission is for Kind to be, all over the world, and for us to be able to change hearts and minds. Money will allow me to kind of like share that. It will allow me to continue with the work. It will allow me to eat, and that's important. Okay. So this is where we're at. We're defining our CEO pay number. We're filling in our numbers. What's your desired monthly take home? A lot of times it's easier for people to think about monthly, because you can think about, okay, what are my expenses? What am I, what kind of things do I want in my life? Like, what kind of vacations do I want to take? Things like that. And then you're going to multiply that by 12. All right. So if you say you want, let's say, $7,000 months, right? You're going to multiply that by 12. Okay. And that's going to give you your revenue. Now you also want to think about, okay, the government wants their cut, y'all. That's a big, important deal. So whatever the government wants, the government gets. So you make sure that you incorporate, I always say, about 30%. So whatever you're thinking about, every time that I think about a number for an offer, I always think about, okay, how much is Uncle Sam going to take out of that number? So I try to set all my price points at multiply basically by 3 to some extent. Okay. So, like, let's say it's 100,000 a year is your goal, which I think that 100,000 is the new 50,000. I know that sounds crazy, but it is absolutely true in Florida, especially. So your annual monthly revenue is, or your annual revenue is $100,000. If you were going to pay taxes on that, you're usually looking at about $20,000 tax bill, generally speaking. So you need to make about 120K usually. And now think about how that number feels. Is it scary? Is it exciting? Is it overwhelming? Is it motivating? Your number may be much higher than that. Your number may be lower than that. And that's all totally fine. But if that number doesn't feel slightly scary to you, I want you to kind of like add a little bit to that number, because that number that you put in should feel slightly scary. It should feel like, okay, this is probably something. It should feel somewhat exciting as well, because what will it be able to change? Will you be able to donate to the things that you want to donate to with the number that you're thinking about? I really want you to think thoroughly through what it's going to feel like to be able to have the CEO pay number that I'm talking about, because that's what's going to activate you. And that's what's exciting. Okay. Because what will you get to do with it at the end of the day is really important. Will you be able to take vacations? Will you be able to hang out with your kids more? Would you be able to, you know what I mean? Like to dine out a little bit more, those kind of things. Will you be able to buy that couch that you want to, that car that you want to, whatever it is, make sure that it feels somewhat exciting for you. Okay. Maybe not scary. Exciting is probably the word I'm looking for. Okay, so CEO vision mapping, your money vision, your money vision, your money mission, and your bottleneck. So basically, your mission is like what you want today, your vision is like what you want kind of longer term, and what's your bottleneck? So your bottleneck is anything that kind of gets in the way or you see getting in the way. Is it time? Is it systems? Is it pricing? Is it marketing? Is it mindset? I've like considered putting things up and I've gone, wait, that's not going to bring in like what we need. So that kind of doesn't make any sense. It's really a cool thing, but it's not going to be able to get where we need to go, our income goals that we have for this year. So I can't do that right now. Like that's something that sounds like a lot of fun. And sometimes I'll dedicate like a few hours to kind of the fun passion-based stuff, in addition to like the other more fun passion-based stuff that's going to actually make us the income and the revenue that we need to, which is super important. Okay. But that's a really important thing. Those are really important things. And then let me pop back to the presentation. And then let's see. All right. Let's see. All right, I got some stuff in chat. Thank you for that long chat, Caitlin. I'm going to read that now. I'm sorry if it's been, oh, you just posted it. Thank God. All right, so I'm an accidental entrepreneur by necessity of life circumstances as a homeschooling mother. Definitely an operator and cannot do half the things in my heart. What you're saying really resonates. You know how good that makes me feel. Thank you so much. I've always somehow felt like making big money was not compatible with my mission as an educator. I can't read that because it's behind. Hold on, let me see. I've always somehow felt like making big money was not compatible with my mission as an educator, helper, yet it's exhausting being in struggle. Correct, exactly. And there's no reason people who have invested so much time in education and creating programs should have to live like that. That's absolutely true. And yes, I want to be able to help others freely with my money and make more of a difference that way too. Really want to start a nonprofit. I know it's amazing. Like it's so everything that you're saying, Caitlin. That's exactly where, you know what I mean? Where it lines up. I'm like, I feel like educators should make money. Like, why is education or any of these jobs where we're really truly helping people to transform their lives? Why are they paid the least, right? So we have to shift that mindset. And I remember when my mindset started going, it's been like it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I really started recognizing, and I always knew it was unfair, but like, why are baseball players making so much more than educators? It just didn't make sense, or celebrities or whatever. I feel like we do, we teach all of them. Like we should be able to at least live comfortably. Okay. I think at the minimum, we should be able to live comfortably. And a lot of us aren't, and that's not fair. And the only thing that's going to really shift that is if we are constantly doing something to change it ourselves. And that means that we need to start changing the conversation around what it is. And I'm not saying like we need to go out and be billionaires. That's definitely not, it's never been my goal, but it is my goal that the educators aren't working 2-3 jobs and stressing out all the time. It's not right. I don't think that is right. So that's why we do what we do. And that's why we talk about it constantly and try to shift it. Okay. All right. I think I'm pretty much done with the presentation, but I'm going to share it one more time just to make sure that I finish everything. And then if we have any questions or anybody wants to be coached, like, let me know. But we talked about that. So we talked about, okay, this is great. So we shared our vision. If anyone else wants to share your vision, please do. Like, I love hearing people's visions and being able to kind of like pray for them to some degree, because I want to see everyone win. Okay. It's time to celebrate each other. Share your money goals and identify your bottlenecks. All right. All right. So remember, recap, step into your CEO vision, operator mindset, transitioning from hustle to design. All right. If you can't do it today, that's all right. Like, Give yourself a few months, give yourself a year to just start making little moves. I'm reading Atomic Habits right now, and 1% better every day is all it takes for in a year. You're going to be like, wow, like it can change so much when you start. Read the E-Myth, read Atomic Habits. Those will start shifting your brain. Operator mindset, the E-Myth is great for that. And it just really gives you kind of like even a vision of what it can be like, a vision of what it is like right now, and then a vision of what it can be like. Define your pay. Come up with your CEO number. Come up with the number that it's going to take. Share it with people. It keeps you accountable. I know you may not want to. It may feel uncomfortable, but we need to get comfortable with feeling a little bit uncomfortable so that other people can feel comfortable. Because we have to say, like, this is the number that's going to allow me to thrive. That's an important thing, okay? Making sure that you're integrating your purpose with your profit. I don't think I have to say that, but I'm going to say it for my educators. But for other people who are maybe watching, it's so important that your purpose, the thing that lights you up, allows you to profit as well, because it just goes together so well. And you're most likely changing the world. Like, your purpose is changing the world, and I love to hear about it. All right, so next steps. Tomorrow we are doing systems. I know, like, systems used to kind of bother me to some degree. I don't know why. But as I started getting into what systems actually were, I recognized that I was already constantly doing systems. I have calendars, I have calendar alerts, I have alarm set, I have things on the fridge. I love lesson planning. So I really like systems because they make it so that I don't have to think. They free up my brain power. Once I create them, I can use them all the time. Frameworks, building sustainable financial operating plans, and goals, setting your CEO pay targets for clarity, okay? So make sure that you do that for homework tonight, y'all. This is my thank you for coming today. That's my email, iman@imanaleen.com. Website is www.imanaleen.com. And my Facebook, I just changed it today, is at ICAlleen, which is ICALLEYNE. Please check me out. Please follow me if you're not already. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I'm happy to help y'all. Does anyone have any questions for me? Any comments? Anything that you want to? Oh, Vanita said, my dream is to provide nature-based education for underserved communities for no cost or little cost. I enjoy watching the children become so excited. Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite things. I still get like so excited when I see kids in nature. Yeah, I know I started nature school. So yes, amazing. I talk a lot about nonprofits. I think nonprofits are great. I think we just want to make sure, I don't know if you've noticed like what's happening, there's a shift from certain things. So just make sure if you are starting a nonprofit that it's going to align with making sure that you get funded, because there are conversations around what is being funded or what can be funded now. But yeah, definitely. That's one way of doing it. I think it's so important. Even in nonprofits, like people generally in nonprofits, like you're still, you still have to make money. You still have to be sustainable, and you still have to pay yourself. And that's what a lot of people in nonprofits do. They make sure that they're being paid in that way. So, but yeah, you're welcome. All right, y'all. I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else in the Facebook group, but I can't see it. Let me see if I can find it. I usually don't see it until after, and I'm a little bit delayed in Facebook as well. So either way, if you are seeing it in Facebook, thank you so much for watching. I also need to like pause so that we don't get, so that I don't get, oh, I got some comments. Oh, thank you. Yay. Oh, hey, Aisha, I love you. All right. Thank you so much for watching live, y'all. I appreciate you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for coming. Bye. Bye, Fallon. I just saw NYC Tech. Hold on. Let me say hi to you. Hi.